Bonnie Bonadeo. In our show, we help you find the success that you deserve by challenging you to take an outside and inside look at your branding and business. Now, here's your host, Bonnie Bonadeo.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beautiful Brands Inside and Out. I'll tell you that static is your enemy and you have to find your brand frequency in order to grow. And all of my guests that have been on the radio show have somehow crossed over from having that static in their brand to being able to have a clear, concise message as to what they offer, who they offer it to, and why they exist to begin with. And that's no different for my guest here today. Her name is Daisy Jing, and she is with Banish skincare products. And she's got a fantastic story to be able to share with us, because one of the things that I really admired about this brand was that she really discovered that problem solving starts with ourselves. When we can solve our own problem, we also understand that we probably can solve other people's problems too. And with that, she created this beautiful brand, Banish. But let me give you a little insight about her and her bio here. So she is the CEO and founder of Banish, and it's a multi-million-dollar skincare company that sells exclusively on the website. And Daisy started Banish by accident. She'd struggled with acne all of her life and decided to create a YouTube channel to document her struggle. And then that YouTube channel turned into 700 videos and 70 million views today. She's going to tell us a little bit more about the skincare line and how she kind of discovered what was working for her and how it was also going to be working for others. So we'll get into that as we progress through it. But she's also and awarded a 30 under 30 by Forbes magazine. Manufacturing, she's in the Inc. 500 entrepreneur. She's the fastest growing female owned company in Los Angeles, in LA's fast growing female company in Los Angeles. She serves on the board of director for entrepreneurs, Young Entrepreneur Council, and she's also a TEDx speaker. So she's been a little busy. Not just with her brand, but with everything else that she's trying to accomplish. So please welcome Daisy Jing. Hi, Daisy. How are you?
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for that introduction.
Yeah, well, and there's a whole lot more, but we'll share that as we kind of progress along and how it evolves in regards to the story of all of this. So I find it fascinating first that, a lot of people think, I'd love to start my own company. I'd love to be an entrepreneur. And certainly you're a young gal. I'm going to say that you're in that millennial world, right? Okay, good. And people don't know how to do it. They don't even know where to start or how to start. But you kind of figured that in an interesting format, you created a following and were sharing struggles with other people. And it all of a sudden, something happened and you thought, well, wait a minute, why don't I just create something? So I'm looking forward to hearing your story. If you want to go ahead and share that with all of our listeners right now.
Sure. Thanks, Bonnie. Yeah. So I never intended to be an entrepreneur. That was never my intention. Never really took any, business courses, whatnot, before I started my company. So I struggled with acne all my life since I was 9 years old.
That's young.
Yeah. So it's happened really early for me. And, it became, the teenage acne, and then it became very cystic, and it got really bad and affected my self-confidence. My parents and I, we tried so many different products. They took me to so many different dermatologists, plastic surgeons. I took prescription medicines. I took everything under the sun. My sheets were even bleached out because I would just put so much peroxide on my face. I mean, it was really, really bad. And nothing seemed to work. In fact, everything seemed to aggravate my skin. So every new skincare product I tried, it just made it worse. And I was like, why is it making it worse and worse and worse? And it led me into this depression, right? Because when you have all this acne on your face and people are giving you unsolicited advice, people, they had great intentions, but they were like, yes. Have you tried this product or this product, or have you tried this new skincare routine? And you're like, oh, wow, it's super noticeable because random people are giving me this advice. And so it really affected my self-confidence. And I fell into almost a state of depression. It's the first thing people notice about me, my skin, right? Not anything else. So I became, super kind of antisocial, didn't really have a lot of friends, kind of just stayed out, didn't really show others who I truly was. And it wasn't until in 2009, I just became super depressed. My skin was really bad. All of the acne began to scab on my face and left scars. So my skin is very, very prone to scars. And I started, I filmed a video called Growing Up Ugly. I uploaded it on YouTube. I was so vulnerable about my struggle. Some of my friends saw it on Facebook. I had no intention of anyone watching it. I was like, oh, just need to talk to someone. I'm like really sad about my skin. And people started sharing it, and it went somewhat viral. And people really liked how authentic I was. And this was kind of in the beginning days of YouTube. So there wasn't that much content about acne and, sharing your skin and all that. And then I just started making more videos because people really liked that. And I felt like, hey, like people who have the same problem I do can relate to me. And they like to know what I have to say. They like to know what products are working for me and what are not. So I just started making videos, and it was just something I did for fun, after work or whatever, just make a few videos here and there. And then it wasn't until a few years later, I did a lot of research on skincare ingredients. I actually in college studied pre-med because I wanted to be a dermatologist. So I was somewhat familiar with chemistry and skincare ingredients. And I realized in studying all of the ingredients for my YouTube channel that there's a lot of products, like ingredients like mineral oil, artificial fragrance, colors, silicones, just random stuff they put in skincare that doesn't make the skincare effective, but it makes it feel good on your skin. And I realized that's the stuff that is causing my acne. So for example, silicones are a very popular ingredient in a lot of skincare serums. They work for some, they feel good for some people, but for me, with very, very sensitive skin, it would clog my pores and cause that cystic acne. So I was astounded that I've been using all these products that made it worse, and that I didn't do my due diligence about the ingredients. So I started actually buying the pure raw ingredient from certain suppliers and manufacturers. I would actually make my own products. And then I went to a plastic surgeon to get my skin lasered because I wanted a way to get rid of the acne scars. And he introduced to me something called microneedling. This was back in 2011. It wasn't super popular. I used that in conjunction with what I was using. And then people on my YouTube channel noticed a difference in my skin. So the first time in my life, like people on YouTube were giving me positive comments about my skin. And they were like, where can I buy whatever it is that you're using? People in my real life were also commenting on my skin. Like it had this glow. Like the first time it didn't look dry and cakey and acne filled, it was actually glowing. And yeah, that's kind of how I started. So I really needed to solve my own problem. And I realized that a lot of the current skincare really didn't work for me. And then in turn, I realized, hey, others have the same problem. That's kind of how it started. But there was absolutely no intention to start a business. I don't have a business plan or anything. It was just like, if you solve your own problem and focus on helping others, like only good things can come back to you.
Oh, I love that. And I just really think that the younger generation they see more power in it. Instead of going to work for somebody else and living that lifestyle, you really saw an opportunity for yourself to be able to say, no, I have to grow this. I have to grow this following and help them solve their problems too. And I think that's beautiful. So when did you actually start your line Banish?
Officially 2013. I've been working on it for a couple of years beforehand. And then the YouTube channel was started in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So
so you were young when you started the YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, I was young. I was in college. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got the following. And then when you kind of discovered that a lot of these ingredients were creating more of the problem than solving any of the problems, you went to work. You went to work and started looking at what can we do to, overcome this, and what ingredients do we need to make sure that we have so other people can do it. So give us a little insight then, since you started the line to today, some of the products and challenges that you were faced with, and some of the success.
Yeah, so we still have the core original products that we did back in 2013. I'm very, very, very particular. Ask my team about every little ingredient thing, process. So we only have, I think, 6 or 7 products. We might launch one product every year, but that's after, years of research and diligence and testing and all that, because I'm super particular about things because my skin is very, very sensitive and it will break out towards everything. I cannot just use a product, at a drugstore or whatnot, and my skin will react to it. So our best-selling product is the Banish Starter Kit, and all of our products are natural, organic, vegan, cruelty-free, no mineral oil, no propylene glycol, none of that stuff that made me break out in the first place. So because we're so particular, we don't have that many options, right, of like, what can we launch and what can not. And then as far as the successes, I mean, it's crazy how much organic growth we got. Because, in the beginning days of a business, we really had no money to spend on marketing or advertising.
No, most new businesses don't.
Yeah. And, I'm really grateful. I didn't even have that large of a following when I started it, maybe a few hundred followers or, a few thousand, I can't remember. But I just had a few people, who tried the product and loved it. And then they referred it to their friends and family. And then we had a few influencers during this time who really loved the product too. And back then it was, influencers weren't getting paid from promotion. So it was just kind of organic growth. And I'm very, very lucky that happened. But I really do believe if I didn't show my story and I didn't build the trust in my audience, then they would have never wanted to try what I was.
Right. You would have just been another skincare company coming out and trying to make your mark, out there.
Right.
So, but you being vulnerable and sharing your story made an impact, and definitely you solved your own problem, but you were solving other people's problems. And I know that acne is, it does play a role in your self-confidence and your ability to want to be out there and be socializing. So the fact that you even shared that on YouTube as a start is very vulnerable in there. But for those of you that are listening right now on the radio, you can't see how beautiful Daisy is and how beautiful her skin is. So clearly she's figured something out here, and give us a little insight too. So I know you have a small line, and you did send it to me, and thank you, Daisy. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it because it's a very powerful looking line. It's not soft and overly feminine. It's kind of like purposeful. Here's how it works. And she's put together some fabulous branding brochures and everything that really speak to, I think, the people that are challenged with acne. But is that your ideal client? Is that ultimately what your line is designed for? Are people with acne and sensitive skin issues?
Thanks, Bonnie. The line is designed for people who have acne scarring first and foremost, and problematic skin with acne. Yeah. So it really treats the acne scarring. So when people get acne, for me, honestly, the acne was not as traumatic as the scars that came out, because the whole sides of my face is just like indentation and red marks. And I was afraid that was going to last forever. So I wanted to figure out how to get rid of scarring. And scarring is very, very difficult to treat because that's permanent damage to the skin.
Yes, and it goes deep.
Yes, it goes deep.
It's not just a surface level scarring when you have acne scarring on your face. It goes very deep.
Yes, exactly. So it's very hard to treat. So our line is geared for people with acne scars, with acne, and for those who the maybe typical acne ingredients like salicylic acid or benzoyl peroxide might not work for them, because my skin is too sensitive for those ingredients.
Yeah. So when you went to the dermatologist and you were trying professional products at this time, I'm sure that they were prescribing.
Oh yeah.
And were you getting some results from that?
It really dried out my skin and made it more sensitive. So even if I had less acne, my skin was so flaky and dry. It looked like a snowman, on the collar of my shirt. Like it was so dry and flaky. So yes and no, right? There's always kind of a side effect.
Right.
Yes.
So it might have supported reducing acne, but it wasn't making your skin look better.
Right, exactly.
And as a young female, that's pretty important. Well, I'm going to say as a young adult, it's pretty important. But as a young female, it's ultra sensitive, because now on top of it, you're wanting to wear makeup, but then makeup is probably aggravating it too, and stirring it all up and just creating this this self-fulfilling prophecy of, I have bad skin and it's never going to go away feeling.
Right. And the makeup, especially if my skin was so dry and the texture was just bumpy and lumpy and scarring, like the makeup wouldn't even go on smooth. Right. So it was just better if I didn't wear it. So yeah, I just felt, really alone, isolated, and, there'd be peers commenting, oh, I have one pimple, and freaking out. And I would just look at my face and be like, well, what does that mean for me? So yeah, it definitely affected my self-confidence, which I love how you pointed out, Bonnie, the branding of the packaging, because I want Banish to be powerful. I want it to be strong. I feel like those who are going through this condition, every day is the fight, going outside your house, talking to someone, giving that presentation. I mean, it's not easy to live in the world that we live in. And I want to make sure that all of our Banish soldiers know that, hey, we got you. Like, we had this like army themed, military themed product line, because we're here, we're going to like fight for you and go out to battle for you, especially when you have a skin condition like acne or acne scarring. I mean, it's not an easy thing to treat. So we always want our customers to feel confident. We always want them to feel like we understand them and have their back.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so give me a little bit more insight about your brand and the soldiers theme here, because now that makes total sense to me, why it's such a powerful, dominant looking brand, and it's not overly masculine or overly feminine. So, but it is strong. Give us a little bit more about that soldier brand style.
I don't know. It was just when I remember when trying to explain how microneedling works, because this was a long time ago, nobody knew what it was. I was trying to teach the customers, like, how do we communicate that, your skin is going to repair itself and the collagen fibers are going to grow back
by stabbing it with little tiny needles.
Right. So we were saying, like, once the little, the banisher goes in, it calls out like the wound army troops, and they come in and start repairing it. So that's just kind of how it started. And I really like the theme of it, because again, it's like, it's not an easy thing. It's so traumatizing that we need an army, to be with us every day.
Yeah. Don't worry about your dog barking. I got my dog on my lap.
Sorry. Nobody usually crosses the street, but there's once in a while.
Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
We can fix it if it's in between as well. So clean it up. But we're live on Facebook, so dogs barking makes me happy. Like I said, mine's sitting on my lap right now.
Oh, they're so good then.
Yes, yeah. She's very good. She knows it's like, hey, it's quitting time here, Mom.
Oh, well behaved.
Well, I love that you do that. So if it's somebody maybe that's not necessarily dealing with acne scarring or sensitive skin, can they still use this line and get the kind of results that they want?
Definitely. So microneedling, which is what our Banish kit is based upon, helps build collagen. So we lose 1% of collagen every year after we turn 20 years old. So everything just gets slower there. So you want to be consistent in building the collagen. So it does help with acne scarring, but it does help with, just making sure that the collagen, I guess, doesn't decline as quickly as we would like, right? As planned. So it's really good for just overall skin rejuvenation. Especially when treating acne scars, the only way to treat acne scars is to kind of get new skin to grow. So it's really good if you just want new skin, kind of like that new glowy skin. And that's why from so many of our customers, after they use the product, they say their skin glows.
Yes. Yeah. And there's nothing better. That must have been like a brand new start for you when your skin started to clear up and you felt confident to go back out there, and you knew that you created a solution to a problem that you were facing along with other people. So that must have felt really good.
Yeah, no, it was just, I always say, like, you focus on helping others, you focus on helping your customers, you focus on solving their problem, and only good things will come back to you, I think a really critical part in having a successful business is you need to solve a problem that people have. and always add value, right? Because sometimes I think people think they have like a really great idea, but it doesn't really solve, right, a problem, or maybe it doesn't help people in the way you intended it to.
Or they're not making it personal, you know?
Right.
Now, what I get about branding is that it's not about you, it's how you're making your customer feel like the hero. But
I
if
love that.
you don't relate to the customer's problems, the customer's not going to engage with you. I mean,
Right.
that's just kind of common knowledge of building relationships and over time. So you could have a brilliant idea, but if you're not compassionately and empathetically connected to it, you're not going to probably do as well. So you really put yourself out there. You became very vulnerable. You created a product line. So what's the mission now for Banish going forward?
Our mission is we want to change the way people feel about themselves or think of themselves, change the way the beauty industry is. So currently it's kind of like, oh, let's reach this level of perfection and let's sell you products that try to get you to that level of perfection. And if you look at all of our, website, even our packaging, our social media, we've never photoshopped anyone. We show people all the time with acne and scarring and pores and all of that. And it's because we want to normalize it and say, it's totally okay to have these skin conditions and skin issues. Let our products help you. But at the end of the day, like, no amount of perfect skin can heal how you feel inside, right? Because even if you do have perfect skin, even if you're the most beautiful person in the world, it doesn't mean that you're the most confident, right?
That is so true. That, yes, there is that definite illusion of, beauty inside and out. And it has a lot of variables. If we don't feel good on the outside, we are self-conscious on the inside. Even if we look good on the outside, we might be insecure on the inside. So it's really matching and marrying those two opportunities for somebody to feel confident and look good.
Right.
And I appreciate that you want to change the beauty industry in regards to that. And one of the things that you said that I want to touch on before we go into a break here in a few minutes, Daisy, was you said that you have some of the original products from 2013, which is that's a pretty powerful statement to say that, because there's so much technology going on with skincare today, and there's so much new advancements. The fact that your products are still working as you intended them to when you first launched them says a lot about the due diligence and the ingredients that you are working with.
Thanks, Bonnie. I mean, one of our products is the Banish oil, and I don't know if I could share on camera, but this was actually one of our first products, and it's because we actually make our products fresh. So we only sell them on our website. So we don't sell retail, we don't sell in third parties. So if you go on our website and order a product today, it'll ship out and be made tomorrow. So because of that process, we can afford to use less preservatives, less chemicals, because they're not sitting in a warehouse for, how long, or a retail shelf for how long. So I just wanted to share quickly. So our Banish oil is basically our vitamin C serum, and most vitamin C serums, they come orange, right? So ours is actually clear, which you can see here. You order it. But if you leave it out for 6 months and, just leave it out, it turns actually yellow. So that just kind of shows you that it will degrade. The ingredients will degrade over time. But other brands, what they do is they actually color the vitamin C orange already, because they have to make
it will change anyway.
Yeah. They don't want you to know, how long it's been out there.
Right.
So,
and they're trying to claim some shelf life there.
Right, exactly. But because we don't sit on shelves, we don't need to do that. So so just the integrity of our ingredients is really important for us. And the way we make our products, of course, it would be cheaper for us to make a huge batch and store it, but we have people coming every single day working and shipping out the orders. And that's what makes our products different, because we don't need to add all those extra things to preserve.
And you don't need to be, I'm getting this impression, I might be making an assumption here, Daisy, so, just stop me if I am. But based on how you built this company and based on how you're solving a problem, you don't need to be that billionaire today. You're really looking to grow this organically and start bringing it forth and adding things on that make sense.
You mean to be a brand today? You don't need the billions of dollars to make it?
Yeah, like because the truth is, if you're saying you can only get it on your website and you're making the products and shipping them out, you know, somebody else that would be like, it's all about the money and it's all about moving products through and becoming, you know, a successful brand, they would be looking at third-party retailers to be able to sell them.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I think you asked me what were some of the learnings in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's that temptation every day, you know, of, hey, we could move more product. Hey, we could increase profits. Hey, there's always that like, yeah, we could expand and, you know, expand really big and do all that. But I always have to bring it back to why I started it. And that's really, really important. That authenticity, that relatability, and that why are we doing this? And I've had to learn for myself that might take me a little bit longer than, you know, those overnight successes or whatnot to grow in that rate, but that's okay because I don't want to have to compromise certain values of the company in order to make it big.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate companies that take on that philosophy and stand by it. And I know that the people on Facebook here are making the same comments as well in appreciating that for you. And they absolutely get, you know, where you're coming from in trying to make that line good. Well, we're going to take a quick break at this point, but stay with us on Facebook, you guys, because we're not going anywhere, but we're going to do an audio break real quick. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Daisy a little bit about, you know, how she continues to create exposure for her brand. She's got a big following on YouTube and a big following on Instagram, but we're still interested in how is she connecting with them now that she has a line and now that her skin is clear, how does she connect with them? And we'll talk a little bit about some tips and techniques too on what we can do, because products will play one role for us, but also to be able to make sure that we're providing education on beautiful brands inside and out. What are some things that you can do based on diet and exercise and lifestyle living to be able to make sure that you have the most fantastic skin available too? So stay with me, Daisy, and everybody else. We'll be right back, you guys.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Hey, everybody on Facebook. Thank you guys for following and checking us out here. You know, Daisy's got a really good thing going here, and I love that. And I'm going through some of the comments right now to be able to see that. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, Maura, Teresa, you guys, thank you so much. Patrice, love to have you guys here. This is kind of a little extra. Perfect. We got a few people watching, and yes, and really relating to the story that Daisy's been sharing at this point in time. I'm going to be asking Daisy some questions a little bit more on her brand, because I mean, here we are. I deal a lot with entrepreneurs that are running small businesses in the beauty industry and working with them on being able to help them with their brand and help them to be profitable ultimately. And Daisy's going to answer some questions of how she's doing it and how we can duplicate maybe some of the successes that she's had. So definitely stay with us when we come back from our audio break. Daisy, you said that you started the company in 2013.
Yes.
At what point from 2013 to now going into 2020, at what point in that stage was the hardest? Was it the start, the first year? Was it years 2 and 3?
Probably years 3.
Yeah.
Because I had a team and I didn't really have much experience managing people and hiring and firing, and that was really difficult to learn the hard way.
Yes. So it reached that point where you had to scale.
Yeah.
And invite other people in. And that's a big challenge. Are we coming back?
Yep, here we go.
Okay, thank you.
You are listening to Beautiful Brands Inside and Out with Bonnie Bonadeo. If you have a question or comment about our show, please send an email to Bonnie at BonnieBonadeo.com. That's Bonnie at BonnieBonadeo.com. Now back to Beautiful Brands Inside and Out.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with my guest, Daisy Jing. She's the CEO and founder of Banish skincare products. And, you know, she faced acne problems and acne scarring, and she felt very, depressed based on the fact of how she looked. And so she started kind of reaching out on YouTube to be able to kind of share her story. And she discovered that many of the ingredients that were out there with skincare lines and acne lines were causing her more problems than not, such as fragrances and fillers. And so she started to create her own products in her kitchen that were natural and vegan and cruelty-free and didn't contain any of those ingredients that actually can cause acne and aggravate current acne, like silicones and mineral oils, petroleum, artificial preservatives and stuff. And I think we have all had some experience where we could be sensitive to certain products, but when you're prone to acne, you're doubly sensitive to all that stuff. So she created a fantastic product line called Banish. It's got a very powerful brand to it. And she shared with us in the first segment a little bit about her own story. But you know what, at this point, Daisy, I'd love to be able to hear. So you have 70 million followers on YouTube and 180,000 on Instagram. And it's fabulous. And obviously we can look at that and just say, oh, well, then it should be easy for you to be able to sell your products. But I know that that's not necessarily the case. Give us some insight a little bit of how you're creating exposure and marketing to be able to continue to grow your line in your company.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, the numbers look impressive, but I will say they were multiply that by 100, and that's how many hours or minutes it went in making that.
That's the first time I've heard somebody say that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. See, I'm very real. I mean, even like one Instagram post, we think about it hard. You know, it's not like we think about it, we strategize it. I mean, we have someone like, she's like thinking about like what to post, right, to get the exposure and stuff. So it's not, you know, it's not as simple as it seems. And, you know, making videos is very time consuming, editing them, and then, you know, having to promote them and all that. So it's really all about consistency. Like once you start something, you have to be super consistent on it. I mean, you know, we've been around for 6 years, so it didn't happen overnight. And it's not like we had an infusion of capital that just made us grow really quickly. It's kind of slow and steady. But as long as we're kind of authentic to our values and we stay true to who we are, not try to be a different brand or not try to do what everyone else is doing, I know good things will come along with it.
Oh, I love that. You know, consistency is a key word in being successful at that. And especially when you start to gain followers, they don't want you jumping ship or changing things up too much. You know, they're following you for the reasons that you are being authentic. You are providing education and information and solutions to their problems. So there's a lot to that. Outside of social media, do you do any other type of advertising or marketing for your line?
We do digital advertising, so we, you know, do the ads. That's not a huge part of our marketing, but we do that. Not everyone is on social media, right? And not everyone's following influencers. So we do a few of that. We have done, you know, print ads, you know, campus ads, other forms of marketing. But what has really worked for us is actually telling the story through our social media presence and really connecting with our customers.
I love that. Thank you. I'm in the middle of a summit that I'm doing for people in the beauty industry, business owners in the beauty industry. And this is a big topic that we're talking about right here, is sharing your story and being authentic and making that connection via social media. And I know a lot of people are intimidated by that process. But since you started out early and you started out when your acne was really bad, I think that, you know, you've grown up in it a little bit and now you really have a success story. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Daisy, give us a little insight too on what advice you would give others in starting out a skincare company.
Prioritize, I think, is really important. Being able to focus on what the most important thing at hand is. So for us in the early days, like the packaging was, I'll admit it was awful. Like it was just so bad. But I never focused on packaging until a couple of years ago when we had more time and resources to look into it, because it was always about, the ingredients and the product and the efficacy of the products. So I didn't have time to focus on packaging, but that was okay because it wasn't a priority. I think sometimes, there's a million things to do as a business owner. So you really have to focus on what is important and what isn't. And so, yeah, packaging wasn't super important for us. The website was also very ugly because I did it myself, but whatever, it got the job done, just those things. I think just really figuring out what the lowest hanging fruit is and also what is most important for your company, and just focusing, like maniacally focusing on that first.
Those are all of that was really good advice as a business owner to another business owner, no matter what their business is. But certainly in the product related business, you have to make sure that there's authenticity and integrity in what you're creating. And sometimes the packaging has to be secondary.
Right.
If you put all your money into the packaging and what goes into the bottle is not that exciting, or doesn't get repeat business, there's no point in making the investment into a company. Yeah,
exactly. And I remember in the early days, I went to so many packaging expos, and there was a lot of, packaging manufacturers. I mean, there's so much sexy packaging out there, right? But just the quantity you need to order and the cost and just the timeline of it was just not making sense for us. So that was something, even though I would love to have beautiful packaging, I just had to say no for that moment.
Well, I think you have very powerful packaging, and obviously you're tying that into who your ideal client is. And this client that you're probably trying to provide solutions for, they're not made of money at this point. They could be in the younger ages, or their parents are buying products for them, or they're searching out for products. If they're dealing with acne, it's probably they're a younger person at this point. So, having something so overly done or priced too high and out of their range is not going to serve you as well.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. So I see that you're a TEDx speaker here. What was your TEDx conversation on?
Yeah. The title was called A Tragedy Called Perfection.
Ah, love that.
And it just went through my struggle of how I wanted perfect skin and the struggle to reach that level of perfection. And it was only until I kind of exclaimed to the world on YouTube, like, I don't have perfect skin. This is me. This is who I am. That's when everything changed in my life. And I've noticed anytime I try to reach for perfection, it always backfires. And so always try to be authentic, always try to be you, kind of stick to your mission. Because anytime you're trying to copy someone else or reach this, impossible standard, I mean, you never win, right? So
no, it takes you away from the joy and the moment that you can have right now when you're aiming for something that's really unrealistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So we can find your TEDx on YouTube.
Yep, on YouTube. Yep.
On your YouTube. Perfect. Good. I'm gonna look that up and watch that for sure. What are you most proud of at this point since you've started this venture?
I mean, there's so many things. I would say first and foremost, my team. We have really amazing staff and, people, and I kind of think of them as almost like my Banish family. And you really need an amazing team to move you forward. And what I mean by amazing team is I think people who really care and love the company.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so different when you bring on someone who doesn't care so much and they're just there, clocking hours or whatnot. But if you have people who really care about your company, I mean, just everything changes, right? So I'm really proud about that. And we've had people who've been here for 5 years and, who started with us, right, or continuing to grow with us.
Oh, fantastic.
And I would also say, you know, just sticking true to the values and to my guns. And sometimes I can be stubborn or determined, depending on which way you see the world. But, you know, we haven't taken any investor money, and I'm very adamant about not doing that because I want it to be, I never want to stray away from the reason of why I decided to start it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, yes, there might be an opportunity that grows the business X-fold and makes it X more sexy, but is that really going to help our customers in the long run? You know, so I think, especially as you get larger, there's a lot more opportunities and there's a lot more temptation. There's a lot more, you know, why don't you, instead of making your products every day, why don't you do it a couple times a week? Or why don't you use this ingredient instead of that ingredient? Your profit will be, you know, there's just a lot more temptation as you grow and scale. And so I'm glad that I've kind of stuck to my guns on a lot of the decisions.
Yeah, you're refreshing, Daisy. Thank you. Thank you for sharing and just being really real in regards to everything at this point that you're telling us, because I think that we make it hard on ourselves, you know,
yes.
And we then have a tendency, there's a lot of people that claim to want to help us, and they probably could help us to grow to that next level and become, you know, that next layer of success in there. But I love that, how refreshing it is that you're really listening to you at this point and trusting your team for you guys to be making good decisions together.
No, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come along and promise you the world. And there's going to be a lot of sexy opportunities. And I have found sometimes the sexier something is, the further away you should stay from it. Yeah, because you can just, you know, go down this rabbit hole. And I know some other brands, they look amazing on paper, you know, they're everywhere, but you look at, you know, kind of the inner workings, and they have to raise, you know, millions of dollars every quarter to make payroll. I mean, it's just like, you don't know the full story. So I also tell aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners, like, don't compare yourself, because you don't know, you know, the story behind like those bigger brands, right? So always kind of stay true to your mission, your values. And as long as you're always providing value for your customers, you know, only good things will happen.
Oh, I love that. You know what, I'm going to keep an eye on you. I'm going to keep watching you. I love how you're taking all of this in stride, and I love how you're taking it all but on as a very powerful young entrepreneur. And we should be doing more business with more people like you, and questioning the kind of business we're doing with big corporations that we don't really know what they're adding to it, what are they hiding, and you know, what are they up to. So I want to take these last few minutes before we have to close out the show and everything, and go back to the product line so we can educate our listeners and our guests. And then I know that you have an offer that that we'll talk about as well. But we talked about a little bit before we went to break, to be able to find out what are some things that you could recommend to any of our listeners out there that might be challenged with acne and scarring at this point, that they can do outside of buying Banish. Okay.
And I always say, you know, 90% of your skin is genetic. So if you're not, I mean, right, some people don't need to do anything and they have amazing skin. And then me, I'm doing everything, you know. So I would definitely say, if you have acne, check your hormones. It's very much hormonal related. So figure out what's aggravating your hormones. For a lot of our customers, actually going vegan helped their skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we're eating all this meat and dairy products, I mean, just the way that meat and dairy is made, right? All those hormones from those animals, we're ingesting it in our bodies. It's also affecting with our hormones, and it's exacerbating our oil production in our skin. So a lot of our customers have said going vegan has helped their skin immensely. So try that, see if that works. For me, it was actually sugar that really caused the cystic breakouts. And you'd be surprised what's in sugar, like even orange juice or granola bar. I mean, there's just so much sugar just mysteriously in everything. And so whenever I had this influx of sugar, my blood sugar would go up, and then my hormones would also go crazy, and that would increase the oil production in my skin. So I'm very, very cognizant about the amount of sugar that I have. I'm trying to reduce that. So a lot of the hormones can be regulated by diet, not 100%, but actually more than what I think, the medical community wants us to believe. But also, for women, sometimes birth control can definitely, change the hormones and all of that. So yeah, get the hormones checked, figure out how to balance your hormones, because we're not supposed to have our skin have those kind of problems. We're not supposed to have acne. Acne is a way for our skin to communicate to ourselves that,
something's going on the inside.
Yep. And what I think a lot of skincare companies do is they try to solve the symptom, but not the root cause. So figure out what the root cause is.
That's very typical of our society right now.
Yeah.
I think that, we're looking for, I have a problem, I need to fix it, and we're taking a drug. I have a problem, I need to fix it, and we're putting something topical on it. But so much of it, you're right, there's a lot of opportunities to be able to look from the inside out. What's going on the inside? What are you putting in your body that's having your body react negatively?
Exactly.
My son went through that stage. So I think it was about when he turned 17, and he's going to be 21 here. And so for a couple of years, it was really bad. And professional dermatological type products were easing some of the problem, but not really providing a solution to the problem. And it really then came down to, what are you eating? And of course, in his first couple of years of college, as you can imagine, what he was eating to survive, right? It wasn't well-balanced meals by any means. And so it did aggravate it and make it worse. He's probably going to kill me if he knew I was talking about him. But you're right. Dairy and sugar and processed foods were very much the culprits to him, because when he was able to start eating better because he could afford to, his skin started to clear up a lot better. And so I definitely am going to provide some of these products that you provided to for him, because he does still have some scarring going on.
Oh, okay.
And
Great.
so I'd love to share that with him so that he can maybe get that, because he had beautiful skin prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And although he doesn't deal with as much of the breakouts anymore. And I know, it wasn't something that I grew up with, or my sisters. It wasn't something obvious in our family. So to think that he was challenged by it does say a lot about our society, the foods that we're eating today,
Oh, totally.
processed foods,
yes.
All of that wasn't relevant when I was a teenager.
Right.
We were pretty much eating, home cooked meals. So now I know you have a special that you wanted to share with everybody. So can you let us know what that special is? And then I'll tell them a little bit more of how they can track it down on my site too.
Yeah, so they can use the code BEaUtiful Brands for $10 off their purchase over 100. So you can get the Banish kit for $10 off.
Okay, so the Banish kit, you're going to get $10 off, and we're going to go to banish.com. I thought on the paperwork that it said Bonnie, but can we clarify that? Is it BEaUtiful Brands or is it Bonnie?
No, let's do Bonnie because it's a little shorter. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Bonnie might be a little bit shorter. So if you go to banish.com/Bonnie, that's going to give you $10 off to be able to try some of these products. And get the starter kit, which the starter kit contains what, Daisy?
Yeah, so we have the Banish starter kit, which is like our complete package, and then we have the Banish kit. So the Banish kit has our microneedling device, which is our Banisher here. This has 24. I don't know if you can see. They're really tiny little Velcro gold-tipped bristles here, and what they do is they'll go into your skin really, really tiny and stimulate collagen production. And this is also included with the Banish oil, which I just showed you earlier. And then if you want the starter kit, you get that plus the pumpkin enzyme mask, which is really great for exfoliating. It's all natural. And the pumpkin has naturally occurring glycolic acid. Glycolic acid molecules are super tiny, so it can go into your skin and like clear out all that dirt and oil in there and slough off those dead skin cells. And then it has our activated charcoal clay mask. Activated charcoal is like a magnet to attract dirt and, you know, bacteria, so that way you're less prone to breaking out. Also a vitamin C cream, which has vitamin C. The first ingredient is aloe vera leaf juice, so it's super natural, super gentle, super moisturizing. And then our vitamin C beauty elixir, which has vitamin C and, again, aloe vera leaf juice. Absolutely no alcohol in our products. We don't need to dry out our skin. So a very kind of gentle way to heal your skin from the inside out.
It sounds very natural and very accommodating, especially to people that have sensitive skin.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
Beautiful. That sounds great, you guys. So you can go to banish.com and then /Bonnie, or you can go onto my website too at bonniebonadeo.com. And if you go to the radio show page, you'll see there's free gifts and offers, and just click on that button there and you'll be able to get to a promo that Daisy has offered all of our listeners today. So yeah, Daisy, thanks so much for being here. I wish you continued success with your company. I'm all for you. Yeah, and I want to make sure that everybody knows what you're up to and how you're managing your growth and how you're managing continuing to solve problems for people that have acne-prone and scarred skin.
Great. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Thanks for letting me tell my story. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys be sure to join us next week. We're going to be talking with another cosmetic mogul, my friend Chris from Cella. He's been a guest on our show before, and he shares a lot of what Daisy's talking about here, organically growing. And then he was challenged by a few things in his business over time, and certainly during the time that we were in the recession. But he's built his company back up. He's featured in lots of industry trade and magazines. He caters to eyebrows at this time, but he's finally at a point where he's expanding his line to the next level. And so Chris is going to be able to share with us what their next mission is and what they're focusing on. You know, and I say, listen, he started out as a professional football player and went into being a cosmetic mogul. So how do you do that? You're going to find out next week when we talk to Chris from Cella here live at 5. You guys, also wanted to let you know that you can find me in all the syndications. So Google Play, Spotify. I just got launched on iHeartRadio, iTunes, of course, here on Voice America, on my website, bonniebonadeo.com, and many, many other syndications. So I'm everywhere. I'm out there. You can find me, but you can listen to me live right here, 5 p.m. every Thursday on the Voice America Network. So thanks for joining me. Appreciate all of you guys as my followers over time. And Daisy, thank you again for being on our show tonight.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Everyone have a good evening. And remember to be you in beauty.